Hey Trigonometry students, welcome back. Today we're looking at Law of Cosines. Good news, this is the last thing that we need to cover for trig, for the year, for the semester, and yeah, let's just jump right into it. So notice that our Law of Cosines, there's three different ones, and they're pretty much all related and look very similar. So in this one we have, notice that we have the lowercase letters are the sides and the angles are the capital letters. So if we're looking at side c squared, that's equal to a squared plus b squared minus 2 times a times b times cosine of angle c. Same for b. B squared equals a squared plus c squared minus 2ac cosine b. And then the a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus bc cosine a. So what helps me remember is that the side that we start off with squared is going to be the cosine of the angle of the corresponding letter. All right, so we have b squared and b, and we have a squared and a. And then notice that these are the ones that are not the side or angle that we're talking about at the end, right? So if we have a c, then the a and b. If we have b, then we have a and c, and then when we have a, we have b and c, and then b and c at the end. So in case you guys wanted to note it down so it was a little bit easier to remember as you're doing this, but if not, if you can't memorize it, that's fine as well. But those are the three different formulas that we're going to be using to do our work. All right, so they're just giving us sides and angles here. So what they're asking us to do is solve it. Again, that means to find all the angles and sides for our triangle. So notice we're being given A, B, and C. So let's look at the one we have where we have A, B, and angle C. So we have A, B, angle C. We can definitely find side C there. So we're going to use that one. So we're going to set it up. C squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2ab times cosine of c. We're going to fill in our information. C squared equals, all right, we have 2 squared, right? A is 2 plus 3 squared because b is 3 minus 2 times 3 times cosine of c is 60. All right, so let's simplify this a bit. C squared equals 4 plus 9 minus, now be careful, this is all one multiplication, so you can't just subtract stuff yet. But what we can do is simplify it. So 2 times 2 is 4 times 3 is 12 times cosine 60 is 1/2. All right, so let's keep simplifying. So we need to do multiplication before we do addition and subtraction. So 12 times 1/2 is 6. So then 4 plus 9 is 13, minus 6 is 7. And then the last step is we can square root. So c equals square root 7. All right, so what we need to do here is we need to find the last side and the two missing angles. So let's go ahead and start that. Let's change colors. So we're finding the missing side C. Let's do C and C because now we have corresponding sides and or opposite sides and angles. So we can use, at this point, we're going to use law of sines because we have side C and angle C. So we're going to say sine of 60 degrees over square root 7 is going to be equal to, and we can find either one in this case. Let's start with A because it works alphabetically. So sine A over little a is 2. Let's go ahead and solve this. So cross multiply. 2 sine 60 is equal to square root 7 sine A. We're going to divide out the square root of 7. And then we're going to sine inverse to get A, right? So sine inverse and sine cancel out. All right, so let's do sine inverse 2 sine 60 over radical 7. Oops. Sine inverse 2 sine 60 divided by square root 7. Close that parentheses and then close the bigger parentheses. Hit equals and we get 40.9, right? 40.9. So A is equal to 40.9 degrees. And you could do the same thing again with law of sines, but now we have two of the angles. And to find the third angle, we subtract them from 180. So let's see where we have room here. So step 3, let's find the missing angle. So 180 minus the 60 we were given, and then minus the 40.9 that we just found. So when we subtract that, we get 79.1. So angle B then is our only missing angle, is equal to 79.1. Okay, so just a little different approach. We started off with two of the sides and one of the angles. None of them were corresponding, so that's why we'd have to use law of cosines in this case, right? Because we don't have a matching opposite side and angle. So you can start off by using law of cosines and then sprinkle in some law of sines in there once we get stuff a little bit simpler. Okay, let's look at one more example. This time we're being given 3 sides and no angles, so we're going to use law of cosines twice. It doesn't matter which one you start off with. We can use any one because they all involve all of the different sides and angles. So let's use your law of cosines with the first one. Let's do c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2 times ab times cosine c. And we're hoping to find the angle. We have all 3 of the sides. We don't need to find any of the sides. We need to find the angle. So let's see how this all plays out when we start plugging things in. So our c is 6 squared equals a is 4 squared plus b is 3 squared minus 2 times 4 times 3 times cosine c. Alright, so let's start simplifying. 6 squared is 36, 4 squared 16, 3 squared 9, minus, let's simplify 2, 4, 3, that's going to be 24, cosine c. Right, the whole point here is we're trying to get to our angle c. So, well, let's simplify this first. 16 plus 9 is 25. Now, be very careful and don't subtract 25 and 24 because it's got the cosine c attached to it. At this point, we're going to have to subtract our 25 from both sides. 36 minus 25 is going to give us 11. Then we can divide by negative 24. And then now that we have cosine, we can cosine inverse to just get c. Cosine inverse, which will undo that. So we get c is going to be equal to, let's plug that into our calculator, 11 over negative 24, inverse cosine, negative 11 divided by 24, and we get 117.3. Okay, we found our first angle. We're kind of running out of room here, but maybe we can fit it in. Let's fit it in over here, just to save some space. If you guys want to start a new page, then feel free to, but let's do a different one. So let's find angle B then. So we're going to do b squared equals a squared plus c squared minus 2ac, oops, running out of room here, cosine capital B. And we're going to plug our stuff in again, so we get 3 squared equals 4 squared plus 6 squared minus 2 times 4 times 6 cosine B. 9 equals, let's do this all together. So 4 squared is 16 plus 36 is 52 minus 2 times 4 times 6 is going to give us 8 times 6 is 48 cosine B. Again, we're not going to subtract 52 minus 48 cosine B, right? Because the cosine's attached to it. So we got to do minus 52 from both sides. Kind of screwing it up. So then we get 9 minus 52 is 43 negative equals negative 48 cosine B. We can divide our negative 48 now. Negative negative is positive. And then we cosine inverse to get rid of the cosines. So then our B is going to be cosine inverse 43 divided by 48. It's going to give us 26.4. And we could do it all over again, but guess what? We have two of the angles now, so we know how to find the third angle. We're just going to do 180 minus 117.3 minus 26.4, and that should give us our A. So 180 minus 117.3 minus 26.4 equals 36.3. So angle A has got to be equal to 36.3 degrees. We have our three sides. We were given our three sides. We now have our three angles, and we're done. All right, so that's pretty much it. Just apply the sides and angles and stuff to the ones that to the correct formula, and you should be good. So if you're given A, B, and C, well, this last one, it doesn't really matter, right? Because we're being given the three sides. But like if we're looking at this one, we're given little a, little b, capital C. So we have to use the one with the capital C, right? If we're given an angle, we have to make sure we use the form with an angle, with that specific angle inside of it. And just to clarify which one to use and when. All right, that's it. Good job today. That concludes all of trig, which is pretty cool, right? We should be having a quiz shortly on law of sines and cosines.